So good morning all of you. Welcome back to Laser Technology session. So in the last class we have discussed about the fiber lasers. So we have seen how you construct a fiber laser. So with the cavity design you have a fiber. So your fiber is doped with certain materials to having a lasing action or to create a population inversion in principle. So now you come up with your pump laser. So you pump this fiber because you to excite your atoms to excited state to create a population inversion, you require some external light source. So that is your pump. So we know that your pump beam is always much bigger than your fiber core. So your fiber core is order of few to hundreds of micrometers depending upon your single core or multi-core fiber. So you have to use a lens which has to be narrow down your beam size such that it can easily couple to your fiber. So that's where you have to use a microscopic objective lens. So that will make your beam size, for example, from 5 mm or 10 mm beam size depending upon the aperture of your objective lens, that allows the total beam to go through, and then it tightly focus to make sure that it will be coupled through your fiber. Okay, so then once your pump beam is entered to your fiber, so now as you know the fiber is doped, so it has absorption. So when you have absorption, there will be a spontaneous emission that is going to come out from this fiber. Okay, now you need to couple this to external. See, the light will come from through your fiber. So now you have to collect the light using again your microscopic objective. So then again now you get the beam size roughly in the orders of millimeters. So now you have two mirrors like our conventional laser resonators. So these mirrors will design such a way that one of the mirror will be a dichroic mirror, so which is 90% reflective for your spontaneous emission or your stimulated emission, and this is a partial reflecting mirror. So this mirror will allows partial light goes through this mirror and remaining light will be reflected or kind of a feedback to your system. So this is the design of the basic design of your fiber laser. So now we know that we have semiconductor lasers. In our previous sessions we have discussed semiconductor lasers can be very tiny, so and also the light which releases from these semiconductor lasers from microns spot sizes at the entrance. So now you collect those light and you couple to your gain medium double fiber. So then the fiber is fiber Bragg gratings at the ends of the fiber, so that these Bragg gratings act as a reflecting for the spontaneous emission and stimulated emission. And similarly M2 is like a fiber Bragg grating, that is a small percentage of transmission. Okay, that gives you the lasing. And as we know, when you have tight focus at the beam spot size in the microns, when it comes out it always diffracts. Okay, so that means you have a large divergence is there. So this divergence can be collected using lens, so that you can use that lens as a collimating lens. In the different combinations you can have a beam sizes whichever the beam size you want. So that's why you can design your fiber laser which can be pumped either your conventional pump sources like your NdOG lasers or CO2 lasers, or you can use semiconductor lasers. So depending upon the applications, how much power you require, so you choose those kind of pumping sources. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the fiber laser with ring resonator cavity. So that means that you have a fiber. Okay, so now you couple your pump light through a wavelength division multiplexing coupler. So that means that your WDM is nothing but wavelength division multiplexing. So this couples multiple wavelengths into a single fiber. That means like it has multiple fibers can be attached to this multiplexer. So now you can couple the light, your pump light, through your wavelength division multiplexing coupler. So that will now there are many fibers can be coupled. So if you want to use many pump sources, you can use this device. This is a fiber device like so this will combine multiple fibers. That is nothing but you can combine multiple wavelengths too. So then this is the fiber. So this is like we doped with certain dopants, so that we call a gain medium doped fiber. So now you have a spontaneous emission and eventually you have a stimulated emission. Then the light passes through. Then you have output coupler. So that couplers you can take partial beam out. Then remaining you will be oscillating inside the cavity. So this is your ring resonator. So your resonator in the form of ring. So then you generally call ring resonators. Okay, so most of the times your beam is like traveling through your ring resonator, and partial intensity will come out through your output coupler. So this you can take the output coupler and you can do your whatever the necessary experiments or applications, you can use it. So this way now you see this becomes very tiny device. So now you with the ring resonator, so these are all very small in size. So that way this is very portable device. So your fiber laser, it is a very portable device compared to a conventional NdI lasers or Teichhofer lasers. This is very portable. Okay, so now we will see what kind of a gain medium we can use for the fiber to dope into the fiber, so that we can have a active medium inside the fiber. See, the most famous one is ytterbium. So ytterbium can be pumped around 950 to 940 nanometers and 965 nanometers. So these are the energy levels are available to pump or means to excite in your ytterbium atoms. So the emission wavelengths can be get from this ytterbium fiber lasers roughly around 1020 nanometers and 1080 nanometers. So this is one kind of a gain medium you can use to dope. And erbium, sorry, there is a spelling mistake here, it's EB, it's erbium, ER plus. The pumping wavelength is around 980 nanometers and 1480 nanometers. So you will get emission wavelengths in 1530 to 1600 nanometers. And you can use thulium. Thulium can be pumped at 793 nanometers and 1560 nanometers. So you will get the emission wavelength from 1800 nanometers to 2000 nanometers. And holmium, so holmium can be pumped at 793 nanometers and 1560 nanometers. You will get emission wavelengths from 1800 nanometers to 2000 nanometers. So these all are rare earth ions. Okay, so these are rare earth ions. So ytterbium, erbium, thulium and holmium, these are the main dopant materials to get your fiber laser. And these are the bottom ones you see here, the 67, 68, 69, 70, these are all atomic numbers of these elements. And now you see I place in a random, the reason here I place according to the emission wavelengths. So this ytterbium gives your wavelength from 1020 nanometers. Okay, so now your erbium gives from 1530 to 1600, and your thulium is 1800 nanometers to 2000 nanometers, and your holmium can be pumped from 1950 to 1950 nanometer and 1140 nanometers. the emission wavelengths from 2000 to 2100 nanometer. Now you see it has a coverage of almost 1000 nanometers from to 2100 nanometers. So you have a continuous 1530 to 2001 nanometer, you have a continuous almost with a small gap, like here in 1600 to 1800 there is a certain gap, but you can cover a most range of over 1000 nanometers to 2100 nanometers. Now one thing you can do, now you combine any of the two dopants in the same fiber, so now the energy levels is matched, you can actually fill those gaps. Okay, so that way these fiber lasers are mainly dopant materials are these four. So there will be others, but these are the best and the reliable outputs which we have got now with the high powers using these dopant materials. Okay, so now you have all on the near IR to most of the mid IR region, like it's near to IR region, right? Near IR region only, almost like 1000 nanometers to 2100 nanometer. Now if you want a visible wavelength, so once we have high powers from these lasers using nonlinear crystals, as I mentioned, second harmonic generation and third harmonic generation and fourth harmonic generation crystals, you can bring the light into visible regime as well as into UV regime. Okay, so that nonlinear optics allows you to get the wavelengths in the visible range using these fiber lasers. So now the technology is moving towards using the fiber lasers. Now we are able to get high power lasers than the solid, like whatever we have solid state lasers so far. It's in the demanding lasers. Now they are reached a saturation to get the powers. Now these fiber lasers are picking up, they are able to produce much higher powers than our solid state lasers like TiSAF lasers. Okay, so now the technology is moving towards fiber lasers development. Okay, so now this fiber is doped with the erbium. So now you can see the absorption spectrum of the your erbium material. So erbium material, you see it has an absorption from 950 to around 1000 or 20 or something like that. So you can see this is absorption spectrum, and now the emission is from here. Now you can understand what is happening. You have absorption at this number of these photons, the photon energies, and this, then emission will be at the different. You see there is a shift in the emission. See now what happened to the energy of these photons. See now you see the energy is losing, the photon energies are losing. If you understand this absorption spectrum clearly, you have energies, right? So now what you are seeing, the absorption spectrum. So this is you are able to absorb. So that is your peak. That means this is the energy you are utilizing. Okay, so this is the energy. So this is from this energy to this energy, a gap of Eg, and it covers up to this range, for example. Now you see when you are expecting emission, so you are not getting the same wavelengths. That means the energy of the photons are decreasing. So now the energy is dissipating in some other ways. So this absorption spectrum will tell you there is a loss of energy of the photons. Now that is the reason now you have certain energy levels. So now these photons will relax to these energy levels by non-radiative decay. So that means you don't see any emission. From this you have maybe emissions. That is your coverage of your fluorescence emission or a spontaneous emission, which is shifted. It's called a red shifted because of the loss of the energy of the photon. Okay, that means they have transitions non-radiatively to the lower states. So then from there they have a transition, optical transitions or radiative transitions. So that loss is, you can see here. that is a radiative loss, non-radiative loss. Okay, so now your emission wavelength is your this way. So now you can expect your see, whenever this is your spontaneous emission, so your lasing also will cover the range of the spontaneous emission. So you cannot get lasing emission at 1050 because you don't have a spontaneous emission at 1050. So there is no spontaneous photon to stimulate your excited atom to release the stimulated emission. So that's why you don't have lasing action at 1050. So wherever you have spontaneous emission photons, those wavelengths are only available for us to make a stimulated emission. Okay, so now your pumping is peaking at 950 nanometers, so that you have a greater absorption around the peak. Okay, and also if you can pump 1480 nanometers, so the reason here you have almost, there is kind of a spontaneous emission photons. This is again, you have some different energy levels within the medium, that is also matching with your 1480 nanometers. So this is a part of the absorption spectrum I am showing here, and also you have absorption spectrum for the higher, like for even lower energy levels. You have, because you have energy levels when you have a spontaneous emission. See, for example, you have a pumping wavelength at 980 and your emission starts from here. That means there is energy levels existing here, so that you can pump here also. Okay, so that's where around 1480 you can also pump to get your lasing action. So that means you see these are energy levels, higher energy levels, and as you go over longer wavelengths, these are lower energy levels. So when you pump at 1480, that means even you can have a transition go to lower states. Okay, some non-radiative decay also can happen. So where you get the peak here, that means where there is a larger absorption cross section, that gives you a peak in the emission spectrum or in the absorption spectrum. Okay, so the emission wavelengths, it ranges from 1530 nanometers to 1600 nanometers. The reason I mentioned, there is energy levels can absorb in this 1480 up to 1500 nanometers. When the absorption is dominating, then you don't have a stimulated emission. So these are the energy levels. As you see, these are energy levels, but within this is kind of a bands actually. So now, for example, if you see these energy levels, there is a band of energies are there in this way. Okay, so this is the whole energy spectrum of your erbium material. So your lasing will takes place from 4i 13 by 2 to 4i 15 by 2. So that is a laser transitions. So in these energy levels you have multiple energies. So you have a transition in these two. There will be degenerate states. So when you have lifted degeneracy by external electric field, so you have lasing emission takes place here. So that emission, in principle, it can be spontaneous emission. So when you have spontaneous emission, you place in the laser cavity, so you will get a lasing action. So this is your erbium doped fiber. So now similarly you can dope ytterbium. So this is the absorption spectrum of the ytterbium doped fiber. So now if you see your wavelength regime, so is blue curve. As you see, this is absorption, and your emission is almost in the, if you see in the peak of your absorption, your emission also falls in the same region. Now you see this absorption is shifted to higher wavelength sides in the emission spectra. So that means these energies are lost. That means they have these energies, when the photons absorb these states, they decay to these states non-radiatively. From this you have a emission. Now, but interestingly, you see here the photons of these wavelengths exactly decays at the same wavelengths. So that means these have a transitions. Wherever they have transition absorption, from the same state you are getting emission. So that is the way you will get overlap of absorption and emission. Now what is the advantage of this kind of a system? The conversion efficiencies are more than 90% of this. See, whenever you excite a one electron such a way that 90% of electrons will come down. If you excite 100 electrons, 90% of the electrons will give photons. In other case, it is much lower because of the non-additive losses. But these yttrium doped fibers or yttrium material, whenever you use in the laser systems, these will give you very high power lasers. That is the advantage of these yttrium doped fibers. So because they don't have any non-radiative losses, whatever the energy or pumping energy you are giving, most of the pumping energy is utilized to convert into your lasing action. So that means you don't have much losses in your laser. So that is why yttrium doped lasers are used as very high power lasers. And so in general you can use any diode lasers, like whatever you discussed, or solid state lasers can be used to pump, because that those have very narrow bandwidths, so that you can actually pump whatever the energy you are pumping. So you are almost 90% of the energy will be converted to your lasing wavelengths. So that is the major advantage of these yttrium fiber lasers. So if you find any kind of these materials where absorption is overlapping with emission, these kind of materials are very much suitable for having a good lasing conditions. Okay, so now if you see the laser transition is taking place from 2f7/2 to 2f5/2. Now whatever you are pumping wavelengths, so as I am showing here is single energy levels, it is not a single energy levels, you have multiple energy levels within this spectral terms. So now whatever the wavelengths you pump, you are almost you are getting at this region. For example, around 950, that is the reason you see you have a stronger absorption 950 to 976. So in this region, whatever you pump, the pump photon will be converted into your lasing photon. Okay, so that is the major advantage of the yttrium doped fiber lasers. So those emission wavelengths are at 10020 nanometers and 1080 nanometers. So now if you see any fiber laser at coming at these wavelengths, these are mostly yttrium doped lasers. So now if you get very high powers, so those powers, and the advantage of these fiber lasers, you can get not only high powers, you will get high repetition rate also. So high repetition rate means roughly, for example, right now this will go hundreds of megahertz. So hundreds of megahertz means now you can make it as 10 power 8 hertz. That means 10 power 8 pulses per second. Okay, so that means you will get 10 power 8 pulses per second, and these are also like a femtosecond. You can make a femtosecond lasers using different as mode locking techniques. So you can get a femtosecond lasers at these repetition rates. So that is very highly efficient. So because the repetition rate is very important when you have interaction with the material medium or to image any biological samples, you need a high repetition rate lasers, because your signal to noise ratio will be much improved when you have high repetition rate lasers. Okay, so I will stop here. We can discuss more in the next session.